money is just a shadow of what you believe. It's actually not the thing, right? It's the side effect of the thing. You need to heal. Like that's the only way to let more money in. Otherwise, you can let the money in, but it will make you miserable because there are people who have financial success who are broke as hell. If you start being wealthy, meaning we're healthy, happy, whole, and financially successful, the rest of it takes care of itself.
Welcome. I'm Amrita, and this is the Amrita Effect. Real conversations about identity, resilience, and becoming for women in the middle of figuring themselves out or finding their way back to who they really are. This episode is made possible with the support from the following sponsors. Fabio Gula at Luminant Bank. If you're thinking about buying or refinancing, Fabio offers over 35 years of experience and helps match you with the right loan, not just a one-size-fits-all. And Tyler McBroom at TRM CPA. They are a proactive CPA company helping business owners maximize profits and pay as little tax as legally possible. Main Street Title. They deliver your title on time, every time. And last but not least, Lauren DiCarlo at Zingarli & DiCarlo. If you have any real estate transactions for buying or selling, reach out to them for representation. Welcome, everyone. This is Amrita Khurana, and you are here at the Amrita Effect. I am so excited to see you and announce our guest today. Sarah Walton is a business mentor, a coach, and a host of the Game On Girlfriend podcast. She specializes in helping female entrepreneurs scale their businesses by mastering sales strategy, pricing, leadership, and basically empowering them to overcome this under-earning and build profitable, sustainable companies. And I'm so excited for Sarah to be here because Sarah has a backstory that is what I really want to start with. Because yes, she's got this talent of building companies and profitable and all that, but there's so much work that has to happen before she got to this point. So welcome, Sarah.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
We are excited. I think there's going to be so many nuggets to share with the women listening. So many nuggets. So before we even dive into the questions, I like to start at the beginning, somewhat at the beginning, where it started and how it evolved to where you are now.
Oh my goodness. Well, see, it's interesting because it starts when I was like 4.
Let's
You're
go.
like, what? And I'm 150 now. So that's a long time, no, but I was raised by a single mom and we were, really quite poor. And when I was 4, I was watching the Nutcracker on the PBS special, right? They were doing their fundraisers or whatever, which we don't really do anymore, which makes me sad. But they were doing a PBS fundraiser and they were playing the Nutcracker, the ballet. And I just remember watching that and I was like, Mom, I don't know what that is, but I want to do it. I just thought it was so beautiful. And so all my life I'd wanted to dance. And I grew up in this little tiny town called Sandy, Utah. And one of the big deals there was to be on the high school dance team. Like that was the thing, right? Everybody, there wasn't much else to do. If you could get on the dance team, life was great. And here I was, oh my gosh, I want to dance. And we couldn't afford for me to get dance lessons really. So, I learned how to dance by watching MTV, for those of you who are old enough to remember. So Janet Jackson and Paula Abdul were my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Heck yeah. I could throw a chair, Rhythm Nation, dance with cartoon mice, whatever. I was good. I was all good. They taught me everything they know. They didn't know that, but they did.
I love it.
Oh, so fun, wasn't it? It was such a fun time.
You just took me back.
I know.
By just the names. I'm like, yes.
Do you remember that? Like, I remember at Dirty Dancing was like, I just remember watching being like, what is this magic that they do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you had to catch it too when it was on. You couldn't, like, it wasn't like,
there was no replay. There was no repeat.
It was like,
yeah.
I think I got it this time, right? Oh my
God. Remember the TV
again.
guide?
Yeah. We're like, oh my God, I hope on MTV they do Rhythm Nation next or whatever. I mean, it was hilarious, but it's how I did. It's all I had, right? So it came time to try out for the high school dance team. Finally, there's all these years I've been wanting to dance. And I tried out for the dance team. I worked my rear end off. I remember did my knees hurt and my rear end hurt, but I did it. I tried out and I was so excited because I made the team. And I lived in this really tight knit community. So people were like bringing over single roses and there was like this huge congratulations. It was a big deal, which I didn't really realize at the time, like that many people were going to know about it. And then I got the letter that said how much being on the dance team was going to cost. right? There were the shoes, the uniforms, the warm-up clothes, the jacket, the entrance fees for competitions. And I don't know if you've ever had one of those experiences where you like watch yourself go through something where you're like, oh, that's happening right now. It was kind of like that. I remember my palms being really sweaty. My mouth went dry. I felt like my stomach dropped through the floor because there was no way. There was just no way. So I mentioned earlier that we were poor, but when I say poor, we were like, we're talking, half a jar of honey and half a loaf of bread that my mom had made from scratch would be in the pantry. And that would be it. Like the end. No more things. And so to try to do this was going to be near impossible. I just couldn't see a pathway.
And you knew that.
Pardon?
And you knew that. I said, and you knew that. Like,
yeah.
As young as you were aware that you could have this. It's reachable. It's in touch, but you couldn't.
Yeah. It was so painful.
Yeah.
Like to have something I wanted for that long, be that close, and then watch it kind of evaporate like that was, especially at that age, right? It's just so important. Now all these people know about it too. Like it was just this like, no, kind of like they do in cartoons where it's like, no,
yeah.
It really felt that way. So as I'm sure you can already tell, I'm pretty, frisky. I like to say, so I figured out, listen, there's something I got to do here. So I got a job at the mall. Now, if you don't know what a mall is, I love you. You're too young and I love you. But if you don't know what a mall is, just picture Stranger Things, right? That's what I always tell people, picture Stranger Things. So I got a job at the mall working on one of those little carts in the middle, where you sell a bunch of crap that nobody needs, but it was the 80s. So it was cool. Everybody was buying crap they didn't need then. And I got my first paycheck and I was so excited because it was enough to do the deposit for the dance costumes. And I was thrilled. So I didn't have a bank account because I was 16 years old. So I went to the grocery store with my mom where they used to have service desks where you could do things like cash checks. It was amazing. They'd also give you stamps or whatever. But anyway, I could cash the check here at the grocery store. So we're walking into the grocery store. It's me, my mom, and my younger half brother. We're the only people living in the house at the time. And as we walk in, my mom says, the strawberries are on sale. Can we get some? And I remember thinking, I know if you're a therapist, your brain just exploded. That's a different episode. But so I think about the strawberries and I think about the dance costumes. I'm like, okay, I can do both. I can do the deposit, get the strawberries. We're good. Okay. So I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So I go to get my check cashed. My mom goes to get the strawberries with my younger brother. And once I now have the cash in hand, I'm so stinking excited. We're going to go straight to the high school so I can put down this deposit. And I'm looking for my mom and my younger brother in the express checkout and they're not there. And so I'm like looking up and down all the aisles. I'm like, where did they go? And I see them in line with a cart full of groceries. And it's a cart full of groceries I know my mom can't pay for. I just know it. And I'm looking in the cart and it's like my brother's favorite breakfast cereal. It's milk for that cereal. It's bread, lunch meats for his lunches and the damn strawberries. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can put this deposit down on something I've wanted for as long as I can remember, or I can buy my family food, but I can't do that. And in that moment, I decided, right, I would never be able to pay for what I want and my family at the same time, ever. It would always have to be one or the other. And through that decision, I was the first woman in my family to get a college degree. I have 65 cousins, so that's saying something, right? I was the first woman to get a degree. I went to UCLA. After I graduated UCLA, I moved to Europe. I worked with homeless and with children with learning disabilities. And when I came back to the United States, it was like, listen, I'm going to New York. I'm going to make this work. And I was pitching for venture capital for startups. I was working in tech. It was crazy. It was so much fun. I had this beautiful glass office now. I had all this staff. It was an amazing job. And I was so effing miserable. Oh my God. Like so miserable. I would get sick once a quarter, like sick once a quarter. I never saw my children because I was working all the time. And there was one day at work, I was working on financial projections, doing whatever the heck I was doing. My daughter called and she said, Mommy, I miss you. Enough to make me want to vomit. Even now when I say that, like my stomach just flips, right? It's like, And I hung up the phone and I could hear the clock ticking in my office. Right. And I started thinking, well, there's a second I don't get back, and I don't get that one back, and I don't get that one back, and I don't get that one back. And that was the day I walked out and quit, because I realized in that moment, as I was listening to the clock tick, I had completely forgotten about the grocery store moment. I just went on and lived my life with this new truth, right, that I couldn't take care of myself and my family. And as I was listening to the clock tick, I remembered that moment. I hadn't really remembered it before that moment. It was just part of my life. And I realized in that moment that a 16-year-old girl was running my life, and that was not okay. But I had made that decision in the grocery store real. I had made it true. And I had made it true to the point that now I was making all this money for my family, but I was miserable, literally sick often. And as I got up to quit that day, I was like, I got to heal this. I really have to heal this relationship to money. I have to heal my relationship to my family, right? To what it means to be a provider, what it means to take care of myself. And as I was walking to my boss's office to quit, which was sort of another out of body experience, I realized all this time in my career, I'd always been the only woman in the room. And I didn't know. I was like, why? This is ridiculous. Like, these financial projections for these businesses is fourth grade math. Nothing here is proprietary. This is information everybody should have. Understanding company culture, understanding how to make a business work, understanding when it's going to be profitable and why. When does it need an injection of cash? When does it need better people? Like, what's happening here? And I decided as I was walking to his office that that's what I was going to do. And that was 17 years ago. And I don't mean to leave people hanging. People are always like, what did you do that day in the grocery store?
Yeah.
So that day I bought the groceries, and another mom on the dance team heard what had happened. And she ended up buying my costumes for me, which changed my life, absolutely changed my life. And she was really the first example of what women do with money for me in real life.
That. Yes.
And in 2019, right before COVID started really hitting, I held an event in Utah. I was like, I'm going to go home and host this event for people. It was so fun because people came in from the East Coast where I live now. People came in from the West Coast, LA, where I'd gone to college. And then all of my family was in Utah. So it was really cool to kind of bring my worlds together. And the woman who paid for my costumes was in the audience. And, this is known as my grocery store story. Like, people are like, Sarah, tell your grocery store story, whatever. And when you run a business and you're talking about these stories that so impact your life, it can turn into a story, right? It just, it does. And I mean, I'm still really moved by it, but it can turn into that. And so to have her there at the moment when I said, and you guys all know, or who knows what happened, and they were like, another mom helped you. I was like, I did. And she's right there.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps.
I know. I do too. It was amazing. And I got to bring her up on stage and thank her publicly and talk about this. It's on YouTube. You can go see it. But to talk about her being there and to bring her up and thank her publicly, really, the story's always real for me, but it made it even that much more tangible in that moment. And it was so special because she ended up passing away in 2020 unexpectedly. And I was so grateful that I got to have that experience with her and to tell everybody there, right, that I've helped from this moment on, right? Like, if it hadn't been for her, I probably wouldn't be here. And it was so great to get to illustrate that so beautifully for myself, but also for everybody there. And now everybody who's watching it on YouTube. But this idea that when women have money, we change the world. And we do it a person at a time. We don't necessarily do it in the most grandiose ways. So God bless Melinda Gates, who's doing it the way she's doing it. That's wonderful. It's so beautiful to watch that happen. And to remember that for each of us, there are so many moments in a day where we are using our money a specific way. When we are deciding to heal our relationship to money, we're deciding to heal our relationship to our own worth and our own internal power. And we stop this BS that in order to be a woman, you have to be quote unquote selfless, have no self. And then it's like, what is this nonsense? And understanding for each of us taking this on and loving ourselves enough to make the money and understand we are so much more powerful than we even understand. So to step into that and be that for each other and to call that in from each other, that changes the world. And I think it's such a beautiful example in my own life of how true that really is.
Okay, just a deep breath because it was like, I mean, I've heard the story before and I'm
Mm,
hearing it and I still get the same goosebumps. I still feel like a lump in my throat. And you are so right. Like, we don't realize the power we have and what we can do with it.
mm,
And, money can always have this connotation of being a negative thing in some people's lives or minds, right? Or cultures. And and then the experiences we have as kids, like yours was a grocery store experience, and you ended up creating that decision point as your reality and living with that over and over again every day. Like we all have some story. Maybe some of us don't even realize it, and how to even work through that. Like, how did you even therapize yourself out of that? I don't even know if that's a word, but like, how did you
I
like,
like it. Let's use it. I like
it
it.
works for me.
Yeah.
So how did you get through that?
Yeah. It's a lot of healing. I will get into the details of it, but I think what's so important about what you just said is every one of us has one of these. Sometimes when I'm working with a client and we find this moment for them, they're like, oh my God, how could I have let this? I'm like, no, no, no. No, everybody has what, like, nobody gets out of childhood without these moments. And the power and the beauty of being able to find it. I mean, so many people just don't do that work. They're like, this is just the way I am. And it's like, it's not actually, you decided it. And that's not a blame thing, right? The power is that because you decided it, you can now undecide it, which is so gorgeous. But it also illustrates how powerful our beliefs actually are. Because once we decide something like that, we make it real. And when you can see the power of that, it's like, whoa, I'd like to decide something else now and make that real. And understanding that money is just a shadow of what you believe. It's actually not the thing, right? It's the side effect of the thing. And so when people come to me and they're like, what do I do? I was like, we got to heal. And they're like, what? I'm like, you need to heal. Like, that's the only way to let more money in. Otherwise, you can let the money in, but it will make you miserable. And we've seen this so often with celebrities. We've seen it with other people in power. They're just, they're miserable, right? Like, because at the end of the day, how much crap can you buy? I mean, honestly, like, if you hate yourself or you believe something horrible about yourself, no amount of money is going to deal with that. It's just not. And so when we really want to be wealthy, meaning we're healthy, happy, whole, and financially successful, the healing comes first. And I tell people all the time, your business will feel crunchy and exhausting until you heal. And that's just the way it is. I've just seen it so many times. I've seen it in my own life. So how did I do that? So what I love to have people do, like I'm going to give a big how right now, and I love doing that, is you rewrite it. You rewrite the story. So I rewrite that story in the grocery store many different ways. There's hundreds of different ways I could do it, right? I could say I ended up getting another job and it paid me more. Or I figured out, like I was able to buy my own prom dress because I did all my girlfriend's nails for prom, right? So I figured out another way to make more money faster. And it was so much fun. And I loved buying groceries for my family. And I loved being able to pay for other people's costumes because I'd made so much money, right? So I start flipping it around to I'm completely wealthy. And the experience, what we have to understand about our beliefs, right? About our own reality is what you are experiencing right now in this moment, which is the only moment that ever exists, is real for you, period. So if you experience your world on a day-to-day basis as I am wealthy, which by the way, if you have hot water running out of your tap anytime you want it, you are wealthy. If you start experiencing your life that way, that's your life. You are wealthy. And the attention that we have in this moment is our life. You think back on the moments in your life where you were truly happy. You're like, oh my God, that vacation, or that time with my kid when I was laughing, or that moment, like everyone was asleep and I woke up at 4 and I had this cup of coffee and I wrote out this, and it was like glorious, right? What made that moment so incredible was your presence. You were so present in that moment. And that is life. Our presence, our attention is our life. And so what we give that to is what we're living. which is, by the way, one of the reasons I really dislike social media, is because their job is to suck your attention for as long as possible. And that's your life. You're literally giving your life away for things that don't make your life better. And so if we can understand that where we use this beautiful power of attention in our moments, that's everything. And you have the experience of being wealthy within, and that is what allows it to come on the outside. It's never the other way around.
Right.
And, one of my favorite examples of that is, like, I just love him so much, is Matthew Perry, right? We all love Chandler. Was my favorite. Like, come on, is Chandler not one of the best characters ever created, right? Like, what a joy.
Yeah.
And he never felt that.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is so shocking.
It's brutal, but his reality was, I'm an asshole. I don't deserve this. And when that's your reality, it doesn't matter what the outside world tells you. You can't. The subconscious will always win. I don't care how much is around you. That's what I'm saying. If you start being wealthy, the rest of it takes care of itself, because there are people who have financial success who are broke as hell. That being an example. To walk around hating yourself, to think you don't deserve the beauty, you bring that much pleasure and joy to the world. I mean, literally the world. There are children all over the world who are like, Chandler, right? Not enough. Why? Because the subconscious will always win. So discovering these moments in our lives where we decided something about ourselves and healing them, rewriting them, experiencing them differently, understanding compassion, understanding generosity, understanding the beauty of our non-formed brains. I mean, we don't even have a prefrontal cortex when we're deciding most of these things about ourselves as humans, right? It is so powerful, and it is critical to financial and business success. And that's why people are like, how do you do this? I'm like, I do the person in front of me. Like, I don't know what a client's going to bring, but I can work with them. And we can always work on that belief, on that experience, on what happened there. And then we rework that. And it's amazing. They're like, oh my God, my business just doubled. I'm like, there you go. Yeah. And it happens every time. It happens every time, because you start experiencing your world differently. So you start behaving differently.
Okay. So I
hope I answered your question.
Yes,
Sorry.
you did. I have so many thoughts running through my head. This actually reminds me of a book that I'm reading or listening to for the second time because it's so dense. Have you heard A Pocket Full of
Happy Pocket Full of Money?
Yes.
One of my favorite books of all time. You just gave me chills. I can't believe you're reading that right now. That's one of my absolute favorites.
So I can't read books to save my life, so I have to listen to them because that's the only way I can retain the information. So I'm listening to it actually for the second time because it's so dense. But it shifted my mindset on everything I have believed, because and what you're saying is very much aligned with what the message in the book is about. Starting from inside and letting it project out, which is a very hard concept to actually explain. And it sounds a little woo-woo in my mind. And it sounds a little like, what are you talking about? Like, am I in the Twilight Zone? But it is starting from the inside and projecting it out, and then seeing that on the screen almost. It's almost like you are the projector. Right. And you're going to have those thoughts. So you have to shift the mindset. You have to shift your belief system to actually believe whatever concept you're trying to believe, whether I am wealthy financially or I'm abundant or whatever, I have infinite resources. All of that needs to be here for it to project out of the projector onto the screen, for then the screen to become the reality for you, is the best way I could explain it. So
it's a beautiful summary of it, actually. Yeah. And I think, listen, I actually have a belief that people have made this woo-woo so people don't believe it, which is a scarcity mindset. That's insane.
Well, that's my childhood baggage. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Like,
I'm
it's so
very aware of. Yeah.
Yeah. People are like, oh, woo woo crap. I'm like, actually, no.
Yeah.
It's physics.
Yes.
And if you were to be in a music store, let's say, where they have a bunch of instruments, right? And you play a G note on a piano on one side of the room or the store, the G note on a guitar yards away will vibrate. Why?
Yeah. There's a science.
They're in the same frequency.
Yes.
They're going to vibrate each other.
Yes.
And that is what happens when we work from the inside out. That is physics. That is not woo-woo. It is not imaginary. It also doesn't mean you sit on your couch and meditate and $1 million falls on your head.
No.
We're not talking about magical thinking.
No.
We're talking about physics.
Yeah.
And what is so beautiful about getting this concept, like really starting to understand, be like, wait a minute, that does make sense. Of course, they're on the same frequency. We also know, opera singers who can break glass. What the hell's that about? They don't touch it. Is that woo woo? No, it's physics. Like it hits a certain vibration, the glass shatters.
Yeah.
That's how powerful vibration is. We all know it. If you were deaf and you put your hands on a speaker, you can feel the music, right? It just happens that the frequency hits our eardrums when we have working ears. Okay, but it's still a frequency. It is still vibration. And what we want to understand is that money, this is my own belief, and I've really borne it out over the last 17 years while I've been doing this, but money has a love-like energy. And what I mean by that is if you've ever read A Course in Miracles, which I haven't, I don't want to pretend like I know the Course in Miracles. I do not, but I worked for years with Marianne Williamson. I ran her community. I would listen to her talks. And her book, A Return to Love, is built from A Course in Miracles. And the idea inside of A Course in Miracles is that there are really only two courses ever. One is love and one is fear. And when we actually break that down, the only source really is love. So fear's job is to bring up everything that's not healed so it can be transmuted back into love, right? So it's this constant return to love, which is why she named the book that, right? So it's this constant pullback to the energy of love. And money has that same energy. It will bring up everything you have not healed until you heal it, because it's got that love-like vibration to it. So when that money hits your account and you all of a sudden feel uneasy, or you're like, oh my God, I had it for 2 minutes, but now it's gone. Like whatever that experience is, that's your indicator for where you can go to heal instantly. And then what happens is that money now has been transmuted back into love for you. It's not that it is love and it replaces people. I don't mean that at all, but it has that energy of generosity. It has that energy of amplifying you, of magnifying all of the beauty that's within you. And that is really what it vibrates for. So if you understand money is there to help you heal, all of a sudden it's really easy to acquire. It's really easy to spend it, and not in a frivolous, irresponsible way, but in a loving way. I always talk about how much I love to go to Disney World with my kids. I freaking love it. I'm crazy. I know I'm like so like the white American lady, but I freaking love it down there. And what I love is there are actors who get to act and have health insurance and places to stay. There are engineers, there are janitors, there are housekeepers, there are all of the script writers. Like there's so many people. And I always ask people like, yeah, it's expensive. I go down there. I love spending my money there, right? Look at who it goes to. Is it gone? Is the money gone?
Such an interesting mindset on spending the money.
Yeah, no, it's just moving around.
Yeah.
And now they're paying for their kids' dance lessons, or they're putting gas in their car, or they're paying their car payment, or they're paying their mortgage payment. It's like, it doesn't go anywhere. This idea that money's here and then gone is ridiculous. The money's here all the time. As we've been talking, trillions of dollars has changed hands, but it's all still here. It didn't go anywhere. And that's the illusion, is that it's finite. It is not.
Okay. So there's different women listening, women that are very content in their corporate career and are not looking to leave it, but maybe there's some misalignment in what they have. There might be others that actually want to step out of corporate and do something else, or there might be a stay-at-home mom that wants to now is ready for the next step, or it could be a young woman entering corporate America. So there's a wide variety of women listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
What signs are we looking for, especially when we're talking about the healing part, right? The things that keep pulling us back. What signs would we or should we be looking for in our separate journeys that we could say, oh, that needs healing? Yeah. And how do we even identify that?
Oh, such a good question. For each of us, it's a tiny bit different, but I do really coach women to go to their own bodies. So for me, it's always where my ribs separate. If that's feeling like heavy or like achy, I'm like, oh, something's way off. For other people, it's their stomach. Some people get headaches. But there's usually, like I said, I got sick all the time, right? Like there's a physical ailment usually that won't go away. And for women, there's a lot, we know what women have, like 85% of autoimmune diseases, these sorts of things. My assertion, I am not saying I'm right, I'm not a doctor, but my assertion on that is because things are off. We're literally attacking ourselves constantly. And of course, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar and we just get sick. Absolutely. But I would really strongly assert for most people, it's getting triggered because of the lack of healing. And so it's almost like you in New York City in the summer when all the air conditioners are on and there's like this constant hum in the city and you start to not notice it until someone turns one off and you're like, oh my God, well, that is so nice. That was really loud.
Right.
That's the feeling. There's this constant hum in the background that something's off. It's like, I'm just not happy. I don't feel great. Everybody's dumb is like when I hear a lot, like, am I stupid? Is everybody else stupid? Like, it's just this constant off. It's like this deep ache. And it doesn't matter, again, how much money you have in the bank, though I work with uberly successful women, right? And now they're able to actually enjoy the money. Whereas before it was a burden, which is so common, right? Because they felt they had to earn it, but they don't want it. They didn't like how they earned it. They didn't want it the way they earned it. Like now they have to manage it. Like it just becomes this thing as opposed to a source of joy and lightness and amplification of all their beauty. And so it. I think I hate to say that. Like, I'm not like, well, here are the 3 signs. You know. And you know. You may not want to know that you know. But you know. And it's not personal to you that there's healing work to do. Like I said earlier, every single person on this planet had moments in their childhood where they decided things about themselves. There's nobody who gets away with that. Like it's just the development of the human psyche. And so finding that internal compassion and love to say, I'm not here to live half a life. I'm not here to live a life that's got an ache and a hum at the base of it. That's not what I'm here for. And having the courage, it does take courage to admit that to yourself and then to work on it. But the working on it can actually be really fun. It's hard at first because you have to admit it's there. And people are always like, oh my God, our first couple sessions, they're like, oh my God, I'm like, don't worry. By session 3, you're gonna be like, I freaking love this. But we have to tell the truth first to get into what's actually happening. Because for a lot of people, there's a 4-year-old running their lives. There's an 8-year-old who got bullied on the playground running their life. Like it's just this thing that we get to heal. And the second you do, boy, does stuff start to shift.
I'm so
really
intrigued.
Beautiful. Yeah,
I'm so intrigued. Like you're triggering so many thoughts. So when a woman hires you to go through this journey with you, what do you do in the first session? Like, do you just dig through? Do you like make her close her eyes, lay on your couch and be like, okay, let's go back and travel back in time to when you were 4 years old?
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. Everybody's different. Again, I don't have like a set process, right? Because every single person is so unique. But what will happen is we'll start talking about why they wanted to hire me, which I'll probably already know, right? Because I don't work with anyone without having a conversation with them, because someone has to be really ready to do this. So I really usually have a conversation with someone first. So I know a lot about why they're there, what they're up against, and I can pretty much figure out really quickly about how old that conversation is. That's just something over 17 years I've learned how to do really fast. And a lot of the times I don't tell them that, because when you figure it out yourself, when you hear yourself figure it out, you're like, oh, so I'll be like, tell me about the 2nd grade or something like that to get them talking. And they'll start be like, oh my God, there was this one time. And I'm like, there she goes. And she'll be like, I can't talk about this. I'm like, keep going. It's okay. That's usually the one. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh my God, I don't want to talk about, or, oh my God, no. It's like, there it is. Because what happens is we're so beautiful as humans, right? So we say this lie to ourselves, right? So I'll go back to that grocery store moment. I made a decision about never being able to take care of myself and my family, but the underlying decision I'd made about myself was that I was weak. I was weak, that I didn't stand up to my mother and be like, too bad. You know what? Like, who's going to do that when there's food in a cart? Like, no one's right. But I decided I was weak. And so I developed this strong suit of being very strong and independent. Right. To the point that, when I realized this, I had called off an engagement, right? I was the only girl. Like I could see in my life where I was weak everywhere. Right. And I had to be independent and fight for it was exhausting, by the way, but I couldn't not be strong. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't relax. I couldn't just be, because if I ever just relax, you guys would all find out I'm weak.
Yeah.
Right. So there's this underpinning of panic that happens. And that's why I know we've hit it when someone's like, I can't. They're so terrified that what they told themselves is true.
Right.
And that's I just got chills, because that is the moment when life starts to begin. Really, it is so exquisite. I wish I could, like, I never would for privacy, but I almost wish I could just have recordings of all of them, because you
Yeah.
watch people
Documenting it unfold.
they physically change, like
Yeah.
in that moment.
Yeah.
And all of us, you can just watch the lightness hit.
Yeah.
And it is just beautiful. And listen, some of them are like an offhanded comment somebody made, and some of them are very traumatic. And, you know, we run the spectrum. And so the reason I say I can't just say, oh, I do this and I do that, is because each one is so personal and deserves its own time and healing and love. And nervous system regulation comes in with that, right? Understanding how to be with it and not blame yourself. There's so much that happens. So for some people, it's 5 or 6 sessions and we're starting to see the lightness. Other people, it's 15 minutes in, right? So it really depends on how much they know about themselves, what's already happened, and also their motivation to heal. Because sometimes they'll get close and they're like, nope. Let's talk about my staff. I'm like, okay, we'll come back to that in a minute, right? Or whatever. And that's fine. I'm happy to do that, because the person has to be ready. And that's one of the reasons I talk to people before I work with them.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So are there some like tools that we could use on a daily for our nervous system to regulate ourselves, especially as we're transitioning or approaching big decisions or high stakes, whether even if it's stuff with the kids that are big decisions, right? Or with our spouse or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a couple I love these because they're free and they're always accessible. In one, to get yourself into your body and realize you're safe, is to just put your feet flat on the floor and wiggle your toes. So if you have shoes and socks on, you're trying to kind of like grab your socks, right? If you're barefoot and you're in a beautiful rug, go for it. But the idea is just doing that. Nobody knows you're doing it. It pulls you into the present moment. Like we were saying earlier, that is life. So that's where you'll make all the best decisions, is when you're actually present, not when you're in fear and panic, but when you're present. So you actually have access to the best parts of yourself. So you can wiggle your toes inside your shoes. That alone can do it. The other thing I tell people to do, and you can do this in meetings, you can do this before you get on a podcast, you can do this before you have a sales call, whatever, is you stop noticing the objects around you, and instead you focus on the space around the objects. It sounds very simple. But for example, like I'm talking to you now, I can see my camera, I can see the tripod, right? But there's space in between the tripod, right? I can see the other triangles, right? I can see, if you're looking at me and you can see me right now, right? Like, so you would stop noticing me and you'd notice the plant behind me or the painting or my windows or whatever. You'd start to notice the space. Mm-hmm. What that does is it takes our brains, right? So we're born into the conversation of scarcity, right? And what that conversation does is has us focus on what's right here, right? And so we don't see everything else. So you're literally flipping your brain from scarcity to abundance. Because if you were to look up and see the amount of space, there is so much space, and that is abundance. So even if you are, let's say you're having a tough conversation with a boss or a client, or you just got an unexpected bill and you're like, what the flip, right? Whatever. Stop for a second, notice the space. Because in the space is where all the ideas will come from. It's beautiful. Again, free, immediately accessible. And the last one I love to just sort of calm the nervous system is, hopefully it's a sunny day. And if you're doing this at night, notice the moonlight, which is so beautiful. But go outside and just look at everywhere the sun is touching. Just notice how the sun does not discriminate. It shares its light everywhere. And when you can kind of do that, you'll see it on the grass, you'll see it on leaves, you'll see it on cars. Just notice how much it touches, and it does so effortlessly. It does so every single day. It does it like it just is. And your ability to solve whatever problems in front of you also just is. And when you stay in the present moment and you practice that, whatever it is you're up against starts to feel a lot easier, because in this moment, the sun is shining. In this moment, you can see space. In this moment, you can be in your body. And in this moment, you can make the best decision. You can make the best next choice. And you just take that a moment at a time. But yeah, those are my 3 that I absolutely love. I think I probably use them daily. It's just so helpful because we're here. We got this. We're all here. We've made it through so far. We can make it through whatever's ahead of us. We just have to actually believe in that and heal everything that's telling us that's not.
Right. Wow. That's so cool. What are you doing next? What are you evolving into? Because we're talking about evolution and transition and, you know, what the audience is. I'm curious to know what's up next for you. What are you getting into?
Yeah. So the last, I would say 2 years. So my divorce was finalized last March, and what I realized through the process of getting divorced was I don't know how to receive. It took me going through that to be like, oh, I take care of everyone else. So there was still like that residual left over of fierce independence, never allowing anyone to contribute to me. So over the last 2 years, I have done like a headfirst dive into the power of receiving. And we're actually in a launch period right now for the art of receiving, which is a brand new 12-week experience I've created specifically for women. So we can all learn how to receive, because we were taught at such a young age not to, that we were there to make other people happy. We're not even supposed to cry because it makes other people uncomfortable, right? Like we're here just to perform, just to perform, just to perform. And this entire 12-week experience encapsulates everything I've learned to really understand how to receive. And just to share the power of receiving. For me, I've tripled the business. I found the love of my life, right? We launched one child, one's about to launch. I've been taking care of my dad who has Parkinson's, and it's been like almost effortless. It's just been this beautiful contribution of other people. And I'm like, wow, the power of receiving. And so I wanted to teach that. And that is really what we're diving into right now. So the art of receiving is out. And that to me is one of the more important tenets of my work. And I'm doing it as a group immersion practice, because I think it's so important for us to see each other kind of go through this and understand all the different ways we don't know how to receive, and that it's not our fault we don't know, and how we can support each other in learning how.
Wow. And this is an in-person course.
It's in person in that you get me, but no, it is online. We have people in Europe, we have people on the West Coast, we have people on the East Coast. So it is virtual, but it is in person in that people are directly getting coached with me. And getting lessons and training inside the art of receiving. And it is a live course. So we're all doing it together. Yeah.
Okay. And when does this start?
That starts the end of June.
Okay.
June 29th is the first day. And we are allowing, a couple people have been like, listen, I can't come in the beginning. Can you save me a spot? And the answer is, of course we can, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And it's a 12-week course.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. And where can our audience find you if they're interested in learning more about this course or anything else that you've got going on, any of your other wisdoms? And you have a podcast, so rattle off the names of the sources. And social
You got
media.
it. Oh, you're so sweet. So you can find me at sarahwalton.com, and that's Sarah with an H. So sarahwalton.com, you'll find my one-on-one program there, my Abundance Academy, which is a year-long program on abundance, and the art of receiving is there as well. You can also find me on YouTube at The Sarah Walton, Instagram, The Sarah Walton. And the podcast that I do for money, business, and abundance is called the Game On Girlfriend Podcast, because the game is on. This is not our practice.
Love it. I love it. And I know you coach women who are either entrepreneurs or in corporate America, running big businesses, whatever. Do you also coach women who are stay-at-home moms who are not in the business world?
I have. Absolutely. Oh, I just got chills when you said that. Yes, I absolutely have. I would say it's probably the 80-20 rule in my business, right? So 80% are women who own businesses or who are running large P&Ls or large departments inside of organizations. But yeah, moms are a big piece of this, because moms are responsible for $1.2 trillion in spend a year. There's a lot that goes on with the way that moms handle money and what we do with it. And it's really, really important that we understand how powerful we are with that and what our role is in society in doing that. And the other thing I love to tell women who are stay-at-home moms is the average stay-at-home mother is worth $175,000 to her family every year. And all of the work that she does. And it is so important that you get that value, not just financially, but what that does for every single person you get to interact with and how important you are. And that is not fluff, right? That's not like, oh, like, no. Like, you are moving mountains. And so often, because so much of the work is invisible, right? I call it the invisible unpaid labor of women. People don't recognize how important they are and what they're doing, and the massive, massive movement that's happening. And so working with women in that position as they transform their relationship to money is really, really beautiful. It's rewarding for me personally. I love it so much, but for the women I've worked with, it is transformed.
Yeah, I think $175,000 probably is on the low end for Bergen County. I mean,
yeah,
like
where we live, yes. Yeah, for us, right? I think
I
think for our area it's 250,000, but the average for the United States is 175.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm just thinking about one of my best friends is a mother of 3 daughters, and she's a stay-at-home mom. And And as you were talking, she crossed my mind because she's a very present mom and she spends a lot of time, being the coach, life coach for her girls
Yeah.
and talking about, self-respect, our bodies, our, the way we interact with others. How do we perceive value? Like there's so many conversations she has on a regular day-to-day basis to form these girls' mindsets, like the foundation, right? The foundation they're building. And then I look at the flip side of me who has boys, right? I don't have daughters, but I have boys, and teaching them how to perceive a female, because we don't have a female in the house besides me. They don't have a sister. So to teach them the value that she brings to the table, the perspective she brings to the table. And I often find people who come from really strong faith backgrounds, like religious backgrounds, come to the table with the notion that money is bad. And I think that money is as good as it can do, right? And I think in my mind, the simple is you can make as much money as you want, as long as your ego is not tied to it, and as long as it's not running your life. There's so much good that can be done in the world with the money that you make.
Use it to the best of our ability to make life as exquisite as possible. For us, sure, but for other people as well. And I think if we get that, you unhook from the idea that money has anything to do with your worth, because it doesn't. It has nothing to do with it. And that inside out work is just critical to enjoying it. Yeah.
This was so good. I could go on for days talking. This is so good. And thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and sharing some of your wisdom with us. And I hope to have you back maybe for another conversation in the future. And I hope our listeners got a little something to take away. I think the 3 nuggets and the nervous system tools that you talked about are an amazing tool. Each one of them sounds amazing. And I was like doing it as you were talking and explaining it. Yeah. So I'm going to rattle them off so our listeners can take that away in their back pocket for everyday use. Wiggling your toes, whether it's on a carpet, barefoot, or with socks and shoes on while you're in whatever situation. Spatial recognition outside of the focal point that you're looking at recognizes space. And I'm blanking on the third one.
The sunshine.
Everywhere the sunshine touches. That's my favorite. Yes, because I literally go and sunbathe on the deck between meetings because it calms my nervous system. And I didn't realize that until you actually explained the example. So I'm always running cold. I'm always running chilly. Like my extremities are always cold, no matter how hot it is. And so for me, I step out on the deck and sit in the sun to almost thaw out, but it's not thawing because I'm cold. It's regulating my nervous system. It's like calming it down. And so that's such a perfect and quick and easy one for us to do. Even if you're in an office, you can go stand. I used to do this in the New York Times building when I used to work in corporate America. I would go find a sunny spot because it was all a lot of glass windows. And I would just stand there in the sun to do that, not realizing I was regulating my nervous system. So there you go. Those are our 3 takeaways that are easy, free to do to regulate ourselves. And then, of course, we want more. We can always find Sarah to get more of Sarah Walton. Thank you so much. That's a wrap on another episode of The Amrita Effect. Nothing is wrong with you. You are just in the middle of becoming. If this resonated with you, please share it and subscribe. And if you could, leave a review so this reaches more women who need it. Just take one small step forward, and I'll see you in the next episode.